Now to the ABC, which has been actively campaigning against the coalition's immigration policy. Now here's Laura Tingle slandering Peter Dutton as dangerous for daring to suggest a reasonable cut to immigration.
But I think what was concerning is for a political leader to come out and say not only is housing the fault of migrants, but you can't get a childcare space, you can't get through the traffic on the roads, you can't get in to see the doctor because of migration. That is lighting this thing up in a really disturbing way, regardless of the arguments about whether there should be more or less migration. Regardless of whether his policies make sense, and I would say that they don't make coherent sense in what he's put out in his budget reply. You know, the hot buttons he's pressing there, I think, are very dangerous for our community.
First of all, no one is suggesting that migrants are personally responsible for those issues. The argument is that Labor is responsible for failing to properly manage the numbers. It has absolutely nothing to do with the morality of the individual. It is about what we as a country, inclusive of migrants, can cope with. Now, if Tingle is seriously advocating for some sort of open border policy, then all of those issues that she flags, housing, childcare, traffic, will get significantly worse. It will get worse for the migrants who are here. Now, she is attempting to turn a maths equation into a culture war issue. And this isn't even the biggest problem with what Tingle did. The main issue is that she is on a taxpayer-funded broadcaster, calling a mainstream, reasonable policy dangerous. She's effectively campaigning against the opposition leader. I mean, Tim Blair, we spoke about this a little bit in the comparisons to The View before about the ABC's problem with bias. But this here is somebody who is supposed to be a down-the-line, hardened political journalist, and she is taking such an ardent side to the point where she is describing the policy as being immoral and dangerous. How can the ABC justify that under its charter?
Well, under its charter, it can't justify it, but the ABC's charter is, it's an ancient scroll locked under a pyramid, buried beneath 10,000 layers of sand. It's not a living document, as they say. But this is an old tactic of the left. Whenever a subject comes up which they're uncomfortable with or they feel that they're losing, they then go to the moral level. As you pointed out, they've turned a mathematics question into a moral equation. And what they do is they indicate that it's dangerous to speak of this subject at all. Just totally shut it down. We can't speak of it in any sense. And we heard this about the gay marriage debate. We heard it about the Voice debate. We're now hearing it about immigration. Like, they would prefer to have the subject taken off the table because they know in a lot of ways they can't win this one at all. And people know how the numbers stack up. And apparently the way maths work these days is, as you pointed out, utterly immoral, Jack.
Yeah, and there's an ineptitude towards as well, Sophie, politically, because Labor wants to cut immigration as well. But the negative connotations are only towards one party, and the differences in their endgame policy aren't that different, really, on a broader macro level. There are a lot of people, Sophie, that would argue Peter Dutton should cut it further in some areas as well. So how can the ABC look at two parties, both of whom want to cut immigration, but then slander one party as being dangerous?
Well, really, it's commentary, but it's dressed up as analysis, and that's how they really try and get away with this. But I think the viewers know that it often falls in one direction. It's pro-left, anti-right. So you don't really see this type of commentary for the Labor or the Greens, I would argue. However, it's very commonplace for the coalition. So this is the problem the ABC has. They have a new chair, Kim Williams. Perhaps he's going to do something about it.